Listen closely, because this word is not for everyone. It is not for those chasing applause, nor for those seeking recognition. This word is for the one who has been walking in silence, unseen, misunderstood, and yet deeply known by heaven. This message is for you, the chosen one who has been wondering why your life has always felt different, why the journey has been marked by solitude, why your spirit seems to sense things others can't. You were not overlooked. You were hidden. You were not forgotten. You were being formed. And now heaven whispers, you were chosen for the unseen. For years you have been walking through places where no one could see the weight you carried. There were nights when the ache in your soul was too deep for words. You smiled in public, but heaven saw the tears you shed in private. People misread your silence, but God understood your obedience. You've been learning what it means to trust without proof, to believe when the evidence vanished, to hold on when your strength broke. And now a divine shift is happening. The unseen is about to be revealed. The invisible preparation you've endured is aligning with visible purpose. You've been asking, why me? But soon you'll understand every unseen battle, every closed door, every delay was God's way of molding you for something no ordinary person could carry. This is not just encouragement, it's revelation. Heaven has been watching over your hidden years, and the time has come for unveiling. The things that were kept in secret are about to bear fruit in public. The purpose that once seemed buried beneath trials is now rising like dawn breaking after a long night. You were not called to fit in, you were chosen to redefine. You were not meant to blend into the noise, you were shaped to carry a sound heaven recognizes. Your path was never random, it was prophetic. And today the Spirit of God declares, what was hidden shall be honored. What was unseen shall now be understood. The question is not if you are chosen. The question is, are you ready to see why you've walked through seasons that made no sense yet? Heaven was watching each step. Nothing was wasted, not the silence, not the heartbreak, not even the confusion. There were moments you begged for clarity, but God hid you instead. He concealed your name, your gift, your progress, not to punish you, but to protect you. Every time you thought you were being delayed, you were actually being developed. When others seemed to move ahead, God was writing your story in the background, away from public view, because the weight of your purpose required solitude. He needed to shape you in the quiet before he could reveal you in the light. Heaven's process rarely looks glamorous. It happens in the shadows, in the uncelebrated moments, in the prayers no one hears. It's where your faith is refined, where your spirit learns that obedience matters more than understanding. And while you wondered why the spotlight never found you, God was building the kind of foundation that could withstand it. In the unseen realm, things were shifting. Angels were being dispatched. Doors that looked sealed were being prepared to open at the appointed time. But divine timing doesn't rush it, refines. It waits until your heart is ready to handle the very thing you prayed for. And now the voice of the Spirit says, I did not hide you to harm you. I hid you to heal you. I did not withhold what you asked for. I was preparing you to sustain it. There's a divine rhythm to your life that doesn't match the world's clock. When others sprint, you are taught to be still. When others build quickly, you are told to build deep. Because what God is constructing in you isn't a moment, it's a movement. Heaven saw the way you stayed faithful when nothing seemed to move. It saw you worship when you had no evidence of breakthrough. It saw the way you forgave those who wronged you, the way you kept showing up even when your strength was fading. Those moments became incense before the throne unseen, but never ignored. Now the veil between preparation and purpose grows thin. You're standing on the threshold of revelation. The invisible story heaven has been writing is about to become visible in your reality. And when it does, you'll understand why the silence lasted so long, why certain people drifted away, and why every closed door was a form of mercy. Because what God is about to reveal in your life cannot be built on unstable foundations. He needed your roots to go deep before your branches could reach high. He needed you to be anchored before you could be anointed. And so when you step into what's next, remember this: you're not emerging from nowhere, you're emerging from divine intention. You were crafted in secrecy but destined for glory. The next part of your journey isn't random. It's the unveiling of a heavenly blueprint. There comes a point when heaven's silence begins to tremble, a sacred moment, when what was once hidden in mystery begins to make itself known. You can feel it now, can't you? That stirring deep within your spirit, that quiet knowing that something is shifting. It's not your imagination. It's the echo of destiny awakening from dormancy. For so long you've carried questions heavier than words. You've looked at your life and wondered why certain seasons seemed barren while others bloomed overnight. You've asked why doors that looked promising suddenly shut without explanation, and why you were called to carry such depth while living in the ordinary. But here is what Heaven reveals: you were never meant to understand it. From the ground, it had to be seen from above. God says, I have not overlooked your tears. I have not ignored your prayers. I was writing something you could not yet read. Every disappointment, every detour, every season of stillness, all of it formed the architecture of your calling. The reason it felt like everything was falling apart is because heaven was rearranging everything that didn't belong to your purpose. The prophecy being unveiled over your life is this: the unseen years have not been wasted years. You have been walking through a divine apprenticeship, trained by trials, taught by silence, and anointed in isolation. You are stepping into a season where clarity will replace confusion, where divine alignment will meet divine timing. Heaven has decreed a revealing not of fame, but of function. You are about to understand why your spirit never fit within the boundaries of normal life. You weren't created for ordinary paths. You were designed to carry something sacred, a voice, a vision, an assignment that impacts realms beyond what you can see. This unveiling will not come with noise, but with knowing. You'll begin to sense it in small confirmations, divine encounters that feel too timely to be coincidence, conversations that breathe life into your calling dreams, that reveal details of your next step. The same God who once seemed silent will now speak in patterns you recognize. He will remind you that nothing about you was ever random. The way your heart feels deeply, the way you see meaning in what others overlook, the way you sense shifts before they happen, all of that is divine design. You were wired for discernment, crafted for calling. The Spirit says you will begin to understand that the hidden places were holy places. You thought you were being overlooked, but I was training your eyes to see beyond appearance. I was teaching you to hear my whisper amid the world's noise. You have walked unseen, so that when you are revealed, your vision will be clear, your voice refined, and your heart unshakable. And so now the unveiling begins. Not as a sudden explosion of attention, but as a steady unfolding of purpose. People will begin to notice something different about you, not your appearance, but your atmosphere. The peace around you will testify that you've been with God. The words you speak will carry a weight that draws others closer to the divine. You'll find yourself stepping into rooms that once seemed unreachable, not because you chased them, but because heaven appointed you there. You'll begin to see old limitations fall away like walls that can no longer contain what you've become. This is not elevation for ego. It's elevation for assignment. The prophecy is not about being seen by the world, but about being seen by heaven, about walking in such alignment that what God sees in you finally becomes what the world begins to witness. Your hidden preparation has built a vessel that can carry divine purpose without breaking. The unveiling is heaven's way of saying, now they will see what I've always known. And as this truth sinks in, your spirit begins to rise. Because deep down, something in you already knew you were never meant to blend in. You were meant to bring forth. Every calling that carries eternal weight begins in obscurity. Every divine story begins in the shadows before it shines in the light. The unseen is not punishment. It is preparation. You see, the unseen places are where heaven does its finest work. When you were misunderstood, God was shaping compassion. When you were rejected, He was refining discernment. When you walked through silence, He was sharpening your hearing. Every moment you thought was meaningless was in truth the molding of your spirit into the likeness of His. The unseen is sacred because it strips away illusion. It's where your ego dies and your essence is born. It's where the noise of the world fades so the whisper of heaven can finally be heard. The unseen is where roots grow, deep roots that anchor you when storms arise. Imagine a seed buried beneath the soil. No one celebrates it. No one claps when it disappears. It looks like loss, yet within that darkness life is forming. If you were to dig it up too soon, you would destroy what was still becoming. That's what your unseen season was, not a burial, but a planting. The world called it loss, but heaven called it process. When God hides you, He is not rejecting you. He is protecting you from exposure too early. Premature visibility destroys what hasn't been fortified. He lets some doors remain closed because your character was still catching up with your calling. He allows delay not to break you, but to build endurance. Because destiny demands durability, not hype, not applause, but depth. In the unseen, you were learning heaven's language. You learned to discern peace from pressure. You learned to trust timing instead of chasing outcomes. You learned that what's divine cannot be rushed and what's authentic cannot be faked. While others celebrated temporary stages, you were being prepared for eternal impact. That is why your path has never resembled anyone else's. Comparison never fit you because your timeline was never meant to align with the world's. You were chosen for a rhythm that moves by divine timing, not human deadlines. The unseen taught you to move with heaven's calendar where every step is ordered, every silence intentional, every season necessary. And in those deep places, God was weaving invisible threads between your pain and your purpose. The tears you cried in silence became water to the soil of your calling. The heartbreaks you endured became cracks through which divine light could flow. The loneliness you felt became the chamber where revelation was born. What looked like isolation was actually incubation. You were being trained to value the eternal over the instant, to understand that God's promises don't expire just because they take time. To realize that true faith isn't believing because you see, it's believing until you do. And now you're beginning to understand that the unseen was never empty. It was full of formation, full of unseen victories, full of silent answers that your heart couldn't yet articulate. Every no that broke you was protecting your yes that was still in process. Every delay was saving you from a destination that wasn't built to hold your destiny. Spiritually, this is the realm of refinement. The furnace where faith is purified, the wilderness where identity is clarified, the workshop where character is forged. Even Jesus had an unseen season. Years of silence before his ministry began. Moses hidden in the desert. David tending sheep in solitude. Joseph forgotten in prison. All of them chosen. All of them unseen before they were unleashed. You stand in the same lineage of divine process. The unseen was your altar of transformation, the place where your will was exchanged for his. And what emerged is something the world cannot counterfeit: authentic anointing. That's why your spirit feels heavy. Sometimes you're carrying more than emotion. You're carrying assignment. You sense things before they happen because your discernment was born in the unseen. You love deeper because pain taught you empathy. You forgive quicker because isolation taught you mercy. You carry wisdom beyond your years because God mentored you in silence. The unseen is the womb of destiny, and now heaven declares the time of unveiling has come. But before manifestation, there are always signs. Whispers that confirm heaven's movement. Shifts that only those aligned with the Spirit can perceive. Let us now look at those signs. The divine confirmations that prove the unseen work is ready to bear visible fruit. When heaven begins to move, the shift is subtle at first. It's not always thunder or fire. Sometimes it's a whisper, a feeling, a moment of undeniable clarity that pierces through confusion. Those who have walked in the unseen begin to notice the sacred pattern's confirmations that something divine is unfolding. One of the first signs is divine restlessness. Not the kind born of anxiety, but a holy stirring that tells you the old season no longer fits. You may look around and find yourself disconnected from places, people, or roles that once felt comfortable. This isn't rebellion, it's release. The Spirit begins to detach you from what no longer aligns with your next assignment. Heaven is repositioning you and your soul feels it before your eyes see it. The second sign is supernatural alignment. Doors begin to open in places you never knocked. Conversations happen that feel orchestrated by invisible hands. You meet people whose spirits resonate with yours like you've known them forever. These are destiny connections, people who carry keys for your next chapter. Pay attention. Every divine assignment comes with divine alliances. The third sign is renewed sensitivity. Your discernment becomes sharper. Things that once went unnoticed now speak volumes. You begin to feel God's presence in everyday moments, in a song, a sentence, a silence. Heaven's frequency grows louder to those who are tuned to it. And when you least expect it, you'll hear something in your spirit say, "This is it." The fourth sign is divine timing, revealing itself through peace. Opportunities may present themselves, but only one will carry that unmistakable stillness, the peace that doesn't need persuasion. That peace is heaven's signature. It means God's hand is on it. No striving, no forcing, just divine flow. The fifth sign is confirmation through repetition. You'll begin hearing the same word phrase or scripture from multiple directions, sermons, posts, strangers, or dreams. It's heaven echoing the same message until your spirit anchors in truth. God speaks in patterns because repetition births recognition. And the final sign, perhaps the most tender of all, is the quiet assurance within. It's when you wake up one day and realize the fear that once ruled you has lost its grip. You no longer need external validation. You just know. That knowing is faith maturing into certainty. It's the unseen work becoming seen first in your spirit, then in your world. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations. They are heaven's fingerprints marking your transition from hidden to revealed. Each sign is God's way of saying, "I'm with you. You're right on schedule." But every revelation also comes with resistance. Before the promise manifests fully, there are always hidden challenges, not to destroy your faith, but to prove it. You are about to understand why the pressure increases right before the breakthrough. Every divine unveiling attracts resistance. Not because you've done something wrong, but because what's within you is right on time. The moment heaven begins to position you for purpose, the unseen realm begins to react. This is the point where many lose heart, not realizing that the intensity of the battle confirms the importance of the breakthrough. You will face invisible warfare moments where everything looks still on the outside, but your spirit feels like it's standing in a storm. Your sleep may be disturbed, Your thoughts may feel restless, your emotions may fluctuate without reason. Do not be alarmed. This is not chaos. It's spiritual calibration. Heaven is fine-tuning you, separating the noise from the voice, training your spirit to stand firm under divine pressure. Then comes the challenge of misunderstanding. You'll notice how some people no longer see you the same way. They may misinterpret your silence as pride, your obedience as rebellion, your growth as distance. But don't waste your breath trying to explain what only revelation can reveal. Some were only assigned to the old version of you. They cannot recognize the one being birthed through the unseen. You may also feel delayed promises testing your faith. Just when you thought you were close to breakthrough, life may seem to stall again. This is the enemy's last attempt to convince you that nothing is changing. But what you must understand is this: before a seed breaks the surface, there is tension beneath the soil. Pressure precedes emergence. Your faith isn't failing, it's forging. Another hidden challenge is the temptation to retreat. When the journey grows heavy, your flesh will whisper, "Go back to what's familiar." But you can't return to what God has already called you out of. The old version of you doesn't fit the new assignment. This tension isn't punishment. It's a sign that your wings are forming. You're being stretched for flight. And finally, there's the silence of heaven. Those seasons when you can't hear God the way you used to, when your prayers echo back unanswered. But remember, the teacher is always silent during the test. This silence doesn't mean absence, it means trust. God trusts you to use what He's already taught you. These challenges aren't here to break you, they're here to build you. Each one is an invitation to rise higher, to prove that your faith isn't rooted in comfort, but in conviction. You're not losing ground, you're gaining depth. The unseen pressures are sculpting unseen strength. And as you endure, heaven begins to whisper again, gentle, clear, and direct. It's no longer just confirmation, but instruction, guidance for the next steps, a divine blueprint unfolding before your spirit. Let's move into that next phase, the divine instruction, where heaven reveals not just what's coming, but how to prepare for it. Now that you understand the meaning behind your hidden years and the battles that tested your faith, heaven begins to speak with precision. The next phase is not about waiting, it's about walking. The prophetic call over your life demands motion, not emotion. This is the season to rise with divine clarity and walk according to instruction. The first instruction is to guard your atmosphere. Your spirit is sensitive because it has been refined. What you allow around you will now either accelerate or contaminate your purpose. Be intentional about your environment, not out of pride, but out of protection. Limit conversations that drain your peace. Decline invitations that lead you backward. Silence is not isolation, it's insulation. Heaven speaks in environments of stillness, and you cannot afford to let noise drown out the whisper of God. The second instruction: remain anchored in the Word. What sustained you in the unseen will sustain you in the revealing. The same scriptures that once comforted you in darkness will now guide you in light. God's Word is not just inspiration, it's navigation. When opportunities appear, measure them by peace and by principle. If it contradicts what God already told you, it's not divine, it's distraction. Remember, not every open door is heaven's door. Some doors lead to platforms that erode purpose. Discern with depth. The third instruction: protect your oil. Your anointing, your gift, your calling, your creative essence must not be poured where it isn't honored. The unseen prepared you for stewardship, not performance. You are not meant to prove your worth to anyone. You carry sacred oil. Do not waste it trying to convince others you are chosen. Instead, pour it where it multiplies into purpose, into obedience, into people sent by God to receive it. The wise do not seek validation. they seek alignment. The fourth instruction: move when peace speaks. There will be decisions ahead that logic cannot explain. You will sense a quiet yes in your spirit, even when the path looks uncertain. That peace is heaven's permission slip. Trust it. Faith doesn't always come with full instructions. It comes with assurance. The unseen taught you to listen. Now it's time to obey. Even if it means walking into rooms that intimidate you, remember grace already arrived before you did. The fifth instruction: forgive quickly and bless freely. Bitterness is the poison that delays destiny. There are people who hurt you in your hidden season. They misunderstood you, betrayed you, or mocked what they could not comprehend. Release them. Forgiveness is not weakness, it is a spiritual key. When you forgive, you unlock what heaven has been holding in reserve. Your future is too weighty to be chained to old wounds. The sixth instruction: honor your preparation. Never despise the days that trained you. The wilderness was not wasted. It was a classroom. Every test refined your discernment. Every delay strengthened your endurance. You are now carrying spiritual authority not because of what you escaped, but because of what you endured. Carry that awareness with humility. Heaven exalts those who remember where they came from. And finally, the seventh instruction: stay hidden even when you're seen. Visibility does not mean vulnerability. Let God continue to guard the parts of your life that must remain sacred. You can walk in influence without losing intimacy with God. Do not trade revelation for recognition. You were not called to perform prophecy, you were called to embody it. As you align with these instructions, your path will begin to glow with supernatural direction. Things that once felt confusing will suddenly make sense. People meant for your next season will begin to appear drawn, not by your effort, but by your essence. Because obedience attracts destiny. And those who walk in divine order walk in divine favor. The Spirit of God whispers now, "My child, I have gone before you. The way is prepared. Do not rush it. Do not fear it. Just follow the peace I've planted within you. For where I lead, I also provide." And with that assurance, you step into a covering, a protection that surrounds all who walk in divine obedience. When you step into obedience, heaven responds with covering. This is not theory, it is covenant. The moment you align with divine instruction, an invisible shield surrounds you. You begin to walk through life with a quiet confidence, not arrogance but assurance, knowing that what's been assigned to you cannot be stolen, delayed, or destroyed. There is a realm of protection that comes not from walls, but from presence. You have felt it before, that inexplicable peace when everything around you was collapsing. That was not luck. That was the Lord. He was standing between you and what sought to break you. You survived things that should have shattered you because grace stood guard. Now heaven wants you to know that same protection still goes before you. Wherever you walk, angels accompany your steps. They move quietly, unseen, yet powerfully shielding, redirecting, whispering when danger approaches. They are heaven's sentinels assigned to your assignment, and their charge over you is clear. Do not touch the anointed. There will be moments ahead when the noise of life grows louder, when fear tries to find a doorway back into your heart. In those moments, remember, peace is your armor. You don't need to fight every battle. Some wars are won by stillness. The anointed don't strive, they stand. And when they stand, heaven fights. God says, "I have placed my hand upon you, and no scheme of man or shadow of the enemy can undo what I have decreed." Your steps are ordered. Your protection is established. Your victory is sealed. Every false accusation will fall to the ground. Every curse spoken in secret will reverse into blessing. Every weapon formed against you will fail, not because you are flawless, but because you are favored. Your obedience has activated divine defense. And even when it feels like the storm is closing in, remember, He never promised you wouldn't face the storm. He promised the storm wouldn't face you alone. He walks within it, commanding the winds, calming the waves, reminding creation who you belong to. That's why the darkness can only come near, but cannot consume. Because light surrounds those who dwell in the secret place. So rest. You don't need to prove that you are protected. You only need to believe it. Fear will whisper, "What if it doesn't work?" But faith will answer, "It already has." You are surrounded not just by angels, but by favor. And that favor is the proof that your assignment carries heaven's endorsement. Even the attacks become evidence that something divine is upon you, because the enemy only fights what threatens him. This is your assurance you will not be taken out before your time. You will not be lost in confusion. You will not miss your moment. Because the one who called you is also the one who keeps you. And as you walk under this divine covering, something begins to happen within, not just protection around you, but transformation inside you. The refining that began in the unseen is now producing fruit that the world will see. There comes a sacred point in every divine journey. When the unseen becomes visible, when the very things that once broke you now become the testimony that builds others. You can feel it, can't you? The shift within your spirit. It's subtle yet undeniable. Something deep inside you knows you are no longer who you once were. The nights of questioning the weight of waiting, the ache of isolation. They did not destroy you. They transformed you. The very fires that were meant to consume you have refined you into gold. Your tears became rivers of wisdom. Your heartbreak became the doorway to compassion. Your silence birthed strength that no crowd could ever give you. Now, as heaven unveils what was prepared in secret, you begin to see purpose glowing through every scar. You realize that every delay was a redirection. Every rejection was a revelation. Every loss was divine subtraction, clearing space for what was truly meant to arrive. You no longer crave the approval of the crowd because you've tasted the approval of heaven. You no longer chase opportunities. They find you. Why? Because destiny recognizes its own. The energy of obedience attracts divine alignment. What once felt random now fits perfectly into the pattern of grace. The transformation is not just spiritual, it's visible. Peace rests on your countenance like sunlight after a storm. Your words carry authority born from authenticity. You walk differently, not because of pride, but because of presence. Heaven's glow follows those who have passed through holy fire and come out purified. And as fulfillment begins to unfold, you will notice it doesn't come in one grand moment, but in layers. Piece by piece, prayers begin to manifest. People begin to recognize the light within you without you having to announce it. The doors that once resisted you now swing open on silent hinges. The favor that once seemed delayed begins to flow like a river released from a dam. God whispers, "Now you understand why I hid you." You were being built, not buried. You were being refined, not rejected. And now you are ready to carry what others would have dropped. You will find that your old battles no longer shake you. What once triggered fear now triggers faith. You no longer see pain as punishment, but as process. You no longer pray just to escape. You pray to expand. This is maturity. This is transformation. The fulfillment of your prophecy is not only what you receive, but who you become. You have become the very message heaven wanted to speak to the world. Your life now prophesies your endurance, preaches louder than words ever could. You've become living proof that divine delay is not denial. And soon you'll realize that fulfillment isn't the end. It's the beginning of a greater assignment. Because when God fulfills, he multiplies. He takes what he's done in you and uses it to awaken others. You become the vessel through which others find their own restoration. You are no longer just the one receiving prophecy, you are becoming the prophecy fulfilled. So stand tall, radiant one. Heaven's investment in you is beginning to yield visible return. The soil that once seemed barren is now blooming. The ashes that once covered you now shimmer with beauty. And the same God who called you in the unseen now crowns you in the open. Your waiting was never wasted. Your tears were never forgotten. Your purpose was never lost. It was simply waiting for you to be ready. And now you are. Take a breath. You've journeyed through the silence, the struggle, the unveiling. And now you stand in the light of understanding. What once felt confusing now feels sacred. The pain that once made you question now makes you certain. You were chosen for the unseen, so that when your time came, you would recognize heaven's fingerprints on every part of your story. Now close your eyes for a moment and let these words anchor deep into your spirit. Affirmation 1. I am not forgotten. I am divinely hidden until appointed. Let this remind you that your life has never been behind. It has been aligned. You are exactly where grace has guided you to be. Affirmation 2. I walk under divine timing, not human pressure. You are no longer moved by the noise of the world. You are guided by peace, carried by purpose, sustained by promise. Affirmation 3. What is mine cannot miss me. No force, no delay, no scheme can intercept what heaven has written. You don't have to chase. You simply have to become. Affirmation 4. I am covered, called, and chosen. The protection of God surrounds you, the voice of destiny calls you, and the evidence of purpose follows you. You are walking proof of divine orchestration. Now lift your head, chosen one of light. Heaven's breath is upon you. The anointing that once rested quietly within is now rising to the surface. Every place your foot treads carries the imprint of promise. Every word you speak releases power. Every obstacle you face bows to the authority that covers your life. May the peace of God become your atmosphere. May His favor open doors you never knew existed. May His wisdom guide you when the path is unclear. And may His presence remain your home, the one place where you are always seen, always known, always loved. You are stepping into the era of revelation, where the unseen becomes visible and the hidden purpose takes form. Walk gently but boldly. Move slowly but surely. For heaven goes before you, and as you leave this moment, carry this truth in your heart. You were chosen for the unseen so that when you are revealed, the glory will not point to you, but through you. The world will not simply see you, it will see God through you. And that is the fulfillment of the prophecy.